What if the person you're falling for is systematically destroying your sense of reality? What if that charming colleague who seems so perfect is actually a master manipulator who's been studying your weaknesses from day one? Here's the terrifying truth. Narcissists don't come with warning labels. They don't announce their intentions. Instead, they use sophisticated psychological tactics that can fool even the smartest people. But what if you could see through their mask before it's too late? What if renowned psychologist Dr. Ramani Durvasula's research could give you the power to detect these toxic personalities before they destroy your life? In the next minutes, we're revealing 12 dark psychology hacks that will make you virtually immune to narcissistic manipulation. These aren't just theories, these are battle-tested techniques used by the world's leading narcissism expert. Which of these signs are you missing right now? Stay tuned, because what you're about to discover might save your sanity, your relationships, and possibly your entire future. Have you ever wondered why some people seem almost too good to be true? Why they shower you with attention, gifts, and affection that feels overwhelming yet intoxicating? Here's what Dr. Ramani discovered that will shock you. This isn't love. It's a calculated psychological weapon called love bombing. But why would someone use such extreme tactics? The answer reveals a dark truth about how narcissists operate. They don't just want your attention, they want to hijack your entire emotional system. They're not falling for you, they're programming you to fall for them. But here's the part that will give you chills. Love bombing isn't random. It follows a precise pattern that most people never recognize until it's too late. The narcissist studies your responses, noting exactly what makes you feel special, then amplifies those feelings to dangerous levels. Watch for this specific sequence. Excessive compliments about things they couldn't possibly know about you yet, future plans discussed within days of meeting, and an intensity that feels like a drug. The hack? Ask yourself, is this person treating me like they've known me for years when we just met? If yes, you're being love-bombed. What happens when you tell someone about your worst day and they somehow make it about themselves? Why do some people seem incapable of truly caring about your pain? Dr. Ramani's research uncovered something chilling. Narcissists don't just lack empathy. They actively resent it when you need emotional support. But why would someone be threatened by your vulnerability? The dark psychology behind this is more disturbing than you think. When you're hurting, you're not giving them the attention they crave. Your pain becomes competition for their spotlight. They don't see your suffering as something to comfort, they see it as something to redirect. Here's the test that exposes them every time. Share a genuine struggle or loss with them. Watch their response carefully. A narcissist will either minimize your pain, at least you, redirect to their own story. That reminds me of when I or show visible irritation at your emotional state. The hack. Notice if they ever ask follow-up questions about your feelings or if they rush to change the subject. True empathy inquires, narcissism deflects. Have you ever seen someone's personality completely flip over something seemingly minor? Why does a wrong restaurant order or a mild criticism trigger such explosive anger? Dr. Ramani warns about this hidden danger. Narcissistic rage isn't just anger, it's a window into their true nature. But most people miss the early warning signs because they're so subtle. The terrifying truth is this. Narcissists live in a state of constant threat. Their inflated self-image is actually extremely fragile, and any perceived slight can trigger what psychologists call narcissistic injury. This isn't normal frustration. It's primal fury at being challenged. Here's what to watch for: disproportionate anger over minor inconveniences, complete personality changes when they don't get their way, and most importantly, how they treat service workers, children, or anyone they perceive as beneath them. The hack: pay attention to their reaction when they're told no or when things don't go their way. A healthy person shows disappointment, a narcissist shows rage, masked as righteousness. Why do some people always seem to have drama following them? Why do they constantly reference other people who supposedly want them, admire them, or are jealous of you? Dr. Ramani identified this as one of the most manipulative tactics. Triangulation, the art of creating competition and insecurity by involving third parties in your relationship. But why would someone deliberately create chaos? The dark psychology is brilliant and cruel. By constantly mentioning exes, admirers, or rivals, they keep you in a state of insecurity and competition. You're not just dating them, you're competing for them. This keeps you trying harder to prove your worth. Here's how they do it. My ex used to do this differently. My coworker said you seem insecure, or everyone thinks I'm too good for you. They're not sharing information. They're planting seeds of doubt. The hack? Notice if they frequently bring up other people in ways that make you feel competitive or insecure. Healthy relationships don't require constant validation through comparison. Have you ever left a conversation questioning your own memory or sanity? Why do some people make you feel crazy for remembering things that definitely happened? Dr. Ramani calls this the most dangerous narcissistic tactic, gaslighting, the systematic destruction of your reality. But why would someone want to make you doubt your own mind? The horrifying truth is this. When you can't trust your own perceptions, you become completely dependent on theirs. They're not just lying to you, they're rewiring your brain to question everything you know to be true. Watch for these specific phrases. That never happened. You're being too sensitive. You're imagining things, or everyone else thinks you're overreacting. They're not disagreeing with you. They're attacking your sanity. The hack: start keeping a journal of important conversations and events. If you find yourself constantly questioning your memory around someone, that's not your problem. That's their tactic. Why do some people seem to care so much about what you wear, who you talk to, or how you spend your time? When does concern become control? Dr. Ramani reveals the disturbing truth. Narcissists don't want to protect you. They want to possess you. Their care is actually a systematic isolation strategy designed to make you dependent on them. The psychological manipulation is insidious. They start by expressing concern about your friends. They don't seem good for you. Your choices: are you sure that's wise? Or your independence: you don't need to work so hard. It feels like love, but it's actually a cage being built around you. Here's how to spot it. Notice if their helpful suggestions consistently lead to you having less freedom, fewer friends, or more dependence on them. They'll frame it as protection, but the result is always isolation. The hack: ask yourself, since being with this person, do I have more freedom or less? Love liberates, control imprecises. Why do some people always seem to have the best stories, the most interesting experiences, or the most important connections? What drives someone to constantly one-up everyone around them? Dr. Ramani explains this critical warning sign. Grandiosity isn't confidence, it's compensation for deep insecurity. But narcissists have learned to weaponize their superiority complex to manipulate others. The dark psychology behind this: they need to be the most important person in every room, not because they believe it, but because they're terrified of being ordinary. They'll diminish your achievements to elevate their own. Watch for these patterns. They always have a better story. They name-drop constantly. They minimize your successes while amplifying their own. And they genuinely believe they're smarter than experts in fields they know nothing about. The hack? Notice if you feel smaller after conversations with them. Healthy people celebrate your wins. Narcissists compete with them. Have you ever set a clear boundary, only to have someone completely ignore it while making you feel guilty for setting it? Why do some people seem incapable of respecting your limits? Dr. Ramani warns this is one of the most dangerous red flags. Narcissists don't just cross boundaries, they systematically test and destroy them. But why would someone be threatened by your limits? The terrifying truth is this: boundaries represent obstacles to their control. Every time you say no, you're asserting your independence, and that threatens their need for dominance. They'll test your boundaries like a predator testing a fence. Here's their strategy. They'll start small, showing up unannounced, going through your phone or making decisions without consulting you. When you object, they'll make you feel unreasonable for having limits. The hack? Pay attention to how they react when you say no to anything. Healthy people respect boundaries. Narcissists see them as challenges to overcome. Why do some people always seem to be the victim in every story they tell? How can someone who appears so powerful simultaneously claim to be so powerless? Dr. Ramani reveals this sophisticated manipulation. Narcissists use victimhood as a weapon. They're not actually victims, they're predators disguised as prey. But why would someone choose to appear weak? The psychology is brilliant and disturbing. Playing the victim serves multiple purposes. It deflects responsibility, generates sympathy, and makes you feel guilty for questioning their behavior. They're not helpless, they're strategic. Watch for this pattern. They're always the innocent party in conflicts. Everyone else is unfair to them, and somehow their problems always become your responsibility to fix. Their exes are all crazy, their bosses are all incompetent, and their friends all betrayed them. The hack? Notice if they ever take responsibility for their part in conflicts. Healthy people own their mistakes. Narcissists are always the victim of others' mistakes. Why do some people seem to have psychic abilities to contact you exactly when you're moving on? How do they know the perfect moment to reappear in your life? Dr. Ramani exposes this calculated comeback strategy. Hoovering, named after the vacuum cleaner, is how narcissists suck you back into their orbit. But this isn't coincidence or genuine regret, it's strategic manipulation. The dark psychology behind this: they monitor your social media, track your activities through mutual friends, and time their return for maximum impact. They're not coming back because they miss you, they're coming back because they need their supply of attention. Here's how they do it. They'll appear just when you're happy, healing, or in a new relationship. They'll use hoovering techniques like fake emergencies, promises of change, or appeals to your history together. The hack? Notice the timing of their contact. If they only reach out when you're doing well without them, that's not love, that's sabotage. Why do some relationships feel like emotional slot machines? Why do you keep hoping for that high you felt in the beginning, even when it rarely comes? Dr. Ramani explains this is the most addictive manipulation: intermittent reinforcement, the psychological principle that makes gambling so addictive. But narcissists use this to create emotional addiction to them, the terrifying science behind this. When rewards are unpredictable, our brains become obsessed with getting them. Narcissists give you just enough good moments to keep you hooked, while withholding affection most of the time. Here's how it works. They'll be amazing one day, cold the next, affectionate for a week, then distant for a month. You become addicted to the highs and start blaming yourself for the lows. The hack? Track the pattern of their attention and affection. If you find yourself walking on eggshells hoping for their approval, you're not in a relationship, you're in a psychological trap. Why do some people paint elaborate pictures of your future together, then never follow through? How do they make promises feel so real that you can almost touch them? Dr. Ramani reveals this final devastating tactic: future faking, the art of selling you a dream they never intend to deliver. But why would someone make promises they can't keep? The psychological mastery is chilling. They're not planning your future, they're controlling your present. By dangling the possibility of everything you want, they keep you invested in a relationship that will never give you what you need. Watch for these empty promises. Moving in together, marriage, children, travel, or any major life plan that always seems to have reasons why it can't happen yet. They're selling you hope to buy your loyalty. The hack? Notice if their promises have timelines and if they take concrete steps toward them. Healthy people make plans. Narcissists make promises they never intend to keep. Now you have the power to see through the mask. These 12 dark psychology hacks from Dr. Ramani's research can protect you from narcissistic manipulation before it destroys your life. But here's what you need to remember. Knowledge is only power if you use it. The next time someone makes you question your reality, violates your boundaries, or seems too good to be true, you'll know what you're really dealing with. Which of these red flags hit closest to home? Have you experienced any of these manipulation tactics? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might save someone else from falling into the same trap. If this video opened your eyes to toxic patterns in your life, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Remember, you deserve relationships that make you feel safe, valued, and free to be yourself. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise.